That's old stuff.
Long, but John, welcome.
Thank you.
We, with all our candidate interviews, so we make sure that we keep them to 30 minutes. So one candidate doesn't feel they got more or less time than the other.
Understood.
The other, what we usually like to do is ask the candidate to say, here's my background, here's why I'm running for this post at this time. Then we start asking questions, and 30 minutes goes pretty quick. So I give you the floor.
Okay, great, thank you. Phil, thank you. Brent, Jeff, it's good to be here in this beautiful building. And I'm running for County Commission District 1 in Lee County for the reasons that a lot of people have encouraged me to get back in the race. The passing of Bob Janes, who was in that seat for quite some time, did a very good job. We would meet on a monthly basis and talk issues, and it's still in your blood after a while. So, but a very large cross-section of the county, of Lee, business people, retirees, asked me to get back in the race, and I acquiesced. So our campaign is moving. We're going in the right direction. I've governed in Lee County, as you probably know, in good times and in bad. So it's a very difficult time to be back in the county commission seat right now, but I think they need some leadership, and I believe very strongly that I can offer that to them. They're deadlocked on some very important issues right now, one of which is the budget, and whoever is victorious in the election or gets appointed by the governor, whenever that will be, needs to step in and be on the ground and up and running. So I believe very strongly that I'm the person for that position, and I don't have any aspirations beyond the 2012 season, if you will. So I promised that I would serve until 2012, and that'll be it.
What years were you on the League Commission?
Well, I was appointed by Governor Martinez when Porter Goss ran for Congress, March of 1988, a long time ago. Before that, I was a two-term city council member in the city of Cape Coral from 1982 to 86. So I took a little period of time off to watch the kids grow, and got back into it in March of 88 and served till 2000, went back in the private sector. Fortunately, the private sector opportunity presented itself working with cities and counties in the state of Florida, helping them solve their environmental and infrastructure problems. So I've seen a good deal of what the other cities and counties are going through in the state of Florida, and believe me, it's tough all over.
What exactly do you do in the private sector, and will you continue, if you're elected, will you continue in that vein?
Well, my hours will be considerably shorter, but I'm a consultant to two firms, Malcolm Perney Incorporated out of White Plains, New York. They have offices throughout the state of Florida. I've been with them now since December of 2000. I also do consulting work for a subsidiary company called Inframetrics, which is a company that looks at condition assessment projects, piping above ground infrastructure of water and wastewater utilities. So I've been blessed to be able to still work in the public sector while working in the private sector.
Bear with me. You would continue to work for Malcolm Perney?
I would continue to work for Malcolm Perney, but on a reduced hourly basis. Probably, I'd have to talk to them. They're in favor of my race for this position, but it's going to be a long haul in terms of hours for the county. So yeah. I'm not sure how long I'll be working for them.
How would you avoid conflicts of interest, John?
Oh, very easily. You recuse yourself from any votes that come before the board that Malcolm Perney would be involved in. They're doing an asset management program for the county right now, which is probably winding down. So that has already been placed in effect, and I would have nothing to do with any further votes.
Would you continue to solicit business for among other government agencies in Florida while being on the commission?
Yes, that's a good possibility. That's part of my job as business development for them, and I would probably look at other aspects of other governments throughout the state of Florida that didn't conflict with Lee County.
How about those in Lee County, for instance, Fort Myers City Government, Cape Coral City Government? Do you know if they have any business pending?
No, there's no business pending with our firm, and I probably would shy away from that because we want to work with governments in Lee County on a regional basis, so I would pretty much stay away from that.
The various candidates who come through tell us that they tell us there's an anti-incumbency spirit among the voters. And there's even, and the voters are even aware of who used to be in government, which would be you, though you're not an incumbent right now. How do you size that up? What are people telling you?
I've been very encouraged. I think they see me, Jeff, as somebody who can step in. I've worked with Commissioner Mann before. If you remember, in the 90s, he was appointed to the commission, and we worked together. I've worked with Ray Judah from 1988 till 2000. I know Tammy Hall very well. I don't know Commissioner Bigelow, but served with his dad back in the 90s as well. So I think I can step in, and people are telling me that, you know, if you can right the ship and get everybody working together, that'll be the biggest help that you can do in Lee County.
Is the ship really that far?
Well, they're divided on a number of issues, especially the budget. They're
Okay.
2-2 split on that, and some other major issues that are coming down the pike. And I think it's very important to maybe get in there and bridge some of the gaps, and to create some camaraderie on the board. And I think that's important.
Where's the split on the budget? Where's the 2-2 from your view?
Well, I think
And where do you fall?
I think Commissioner Mann and Bigelow would probably like to make significant cuts in the budget. This year, there's a $96 million subsidy coming from the general fund if no changes are made in ad valorem. The staff has proposed $48 million in cuts, so you're still in a budgetary gap as we speak. I don't know where I fall in the middle. I know that if there is a 2-2 tie, then it goes to the roll-up rate, which is about an 18% increase in ad valorem revenue. So they would match the revenue that they had last year this year, and that still doesn't cut it. My biggest fear going forward is that the state budget was balanced with $15 billion worth of stimulus funds, which means you're going into next budget at the state level with about a $6 billion shortfall, unfunded mandates all over again. And that really worries me, because we've seen that in the past trickle down, and that's going to hurt Lee County as well.
How is Lee County compared to other counties? I mean, you've been around the state, and you've probably got a good sense of, and everybody's different and handling things in different ways. How's Lee County stack up?
Believe it or not, Lee County is in very good shape for being the second, third, or fourth, depending on the day, foreclosure capital of the country. Back in after Hurricane Andrew, and I was around for watching that wobble up and down, we got a little scared and started putting in revenue enhancements to the reserve position in 1993. They kept that practice up after I left. So they're in good shape from that standpoint of view, but if everything works the way it's supposed to work and the budget cuts are made, they're still going to only have about a 15% level in their reserve fund for next year going into the fiscal 2012 budget. That's a worry.
You talked about a number of deadlocked issues, and you specifically mentioned the budget. What other issues are deadlocked on the commission right now?
Well, I think one of them is the Colonial Expressway project, which is a major transportation project in Lee County, and one that you know, the city of Fort Myers is looking very closely at, because there are overpasses to be built, et cetera, and that Colonial corridor is a very important commercial and otherwise business corridor in the city. And if the county goes forward with that project, they're going to have to plan very good to get in there and make sure that the infill is done right. So I think they're split 2-2 on that as well.
And you would come down on the side of proceeding, not proceeding?
Well, you have to gain consensus. You've got the city of Cape Coral. That project goes from I-75 west to Charlotte County. Everybody's talking about the piece east of the river to I-75, and that doesn't do the job. Okay, if you want to do the job the right way, then you get the leaders of all the cities together with the county commission and get the right pathway to building this project or looking at other alternatives. And interestingly, Brent, what's happening now is the MPO is coming up with their 2035 plan. So you've got the Lee plan moving in a parallel direction, and you've got the MPO plan moving in a parallel direction, and still that Colonial Expressway will probably be in the mix some way. So they're going to have to figure out what options, because the level of service on the midpoint going east is already level F.
The commission put up $25 million to encourage and to try to bring new jobs
Right.
in the area. Since then, there's some business people who say, well, they should put that much money up every year. Do you agree with that?
I do not. I don't think we have the resources to do that now, but I am encouraged that when they did that, they had the foresight to put that money into looking at targeted industries within Lee County. Here is what I would like to do. I would like to have a micro loan program, no ad valorem taxes involved at all, monitored by the Economic Development Office and the Industrial Development Authority, because the fees that they bring in when the Industrial Development Authority makes loans, those fees are put into a separate fund to invest in the community. And so there is talk about doing that. I certainly would support that.
Where would the seed money come from?
That would be the Industrial Development Authority.
Okay.
And these are for businesses, Jeff, that are currently in Lee County, that because of the bank situation right now may not be able to get a loan.
Okay.
And this would help them hire and expand
So this
here
wouldn't be
locally.
taking money away from, wouldn't be taking business away from banks,
No.
because banks aren't in this business right now.
No, that's correct.
Well, this kind of ties into it. We hear candidates for local office and for state office coming through and telling us that they want to work on jobs. What really can commissioners do in addition to this thing you just mentioned? What can commissioners do for jobs?
Very little. The state is the legislative train that drives the job creation market. Now, they have the Q-tip program, the quality incentive tax program that's been on the books forever. Lee County's used it, and that's the incentives to hire and develop new businesses in Lee County. But there has to be some buy-in on the county's level, no matter if it's Charlotte, Collier, or Lee County, to do that. So we can certainly assist. We can certainly ask our lobbyists to create legislation that allows the county to do more, but that's in the future.
Okay. How do you size up relations with the southern part of the county? Bonita, Estero, San Carlos, do you see any opportunities for progress, or what do you see when you look at the big picture?
Well, I've heard talk that Estero is thinking about incorporating.
Yep.
And I would tell them to hold off unless they have a very, very viable and concrete study of the pros and cons of incorporation. It's a situation where I've heard it's a minority of people in the community, but even still, I think if they want to go through a study, that study is credible, they'll have their answer.
I mean, be careful for fiscal purposes?
Correct,
or for
exactly, because
political-
you're putting another layer of government on top of an already county government that supposedly will take care of these people down there.
You were on the commission when Bonita incorporated,
Right.
correct?
Mhm.
How do you think that's worked out in hindsight?
Well, I think it's worked out fairly well. I think the limited government that they have, there are different models, Phil, as you know, to create a city, and I think they've worked with the county pretty well in terms of their governance and in terms of their administrative aspects of the city. So they have a combination type of approach, not a full-blown like the city of Cape Coral.
Do you foresee the county in the next year having to drastically revamp its tourism promotion strategy in the wake of what's happening in Shaw?
I think they need to be nimble, and I think, Brent, that they need to be very cognizant that this thing could move into the loop current and come down and up around the East Coast. Hopefully it will stay far enough off our coast that we don't have a problem, but people all over the country are looking at this right now from the standpoint of view, should I cancel my reservation? Should I cancel my vacation? Should I come down here? What's the situation? We need clarity at the county level, and I think they'll be poised to do that.
Talking about tourism, did the county do the Red Sox deal correctly?
I think they did. One of the problems that you had with the City of Palms Park was the fact that when that was built by the City of Fort Myers, half of that was built with tax-exempt money and half was not. So that's where they ran into financial difficulties. The county took that over and is managing it very well. You know, you can always argue that a $75, $80 million stadium is limited in what the revenues bring in, but they bring in about $25 to $30 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they did a good job on it. I really do.
Do you have any ideas for what should happen next at City of Palms?
I don't. The swim team situation is by the board in Cape Coral. The concourse of Cape Coral was actually the name of the project, and that was more than just a swimming venue. There was a hotel, mixed use, residential. It would have cash flowed in the second year. It was an $85 million project, would have created about 1,200 construction jobs. City of Cape Coral should have signed the memorandum of understanding and taken a further look to see if that project was viable. I believe it was. We did a lot of research on that under the auspices of the Cape Coral Council for Progress. We came out with numbers that are pretty defensible. So.
Okay, but getting back to City of Palms, which still would be on your watch, you don't have any ideas?
We're going to probably, the county will get a proposal from the swim folks, and I haven't seen anything of any concrete proposals yet coming in from that situation, so we're going to have to wait to see if the proposal comes in.
Would it work for FGCU football?
That's a good one. I don't know. That's something I haven't thought about, and I haven't heard anything from the FGCU people about that either.
Well,
I'll keep that in the back of my mind.
I haven't either, but I just thought it. But you know, it would seem to make sense that you need a sports venue, and FGCU is moving toward football. People are used to going there for sports, so, and it's also empty. Or it's going to be empty.
I would personally love it, but that's probably down the road some. So.
You have there's four other candidates, 3 Republican running for Mr. Jane's vacancy. What besides experience, because you're the only one who has experience on the county commission, what besides experience in your mind sets you apart from the other people who filed?
Well, I've been in the private sector now off and on for 38 years, excuse me. And the last 10 years of experience, Phil, working in the private sector with cities and counties exclusively. We don't work for private developers. We work exclusively with cities and counties. And being able to see how they try to fix their problems and their challenges is very important to me, because it gives me a benchmark to look at Lee County and to see what we can do better down the future. So I think that's more important. The second thing is I was a corporate benefit consultant for over 25 years. They actually sent me to Lafayette, Indiana, Purdue University for 2 years to study healthcare economics. So I have a well-rounded fiscal point of view when I get on the board, hopefully, and I've been able to at least deal with 2 of the 3 people and serve with 2 of the 3 people that are there now.
What did we learn from the Don Stillwell experience?
Don Stillwell, a great county manager, made a mistake. Very simple. Misjudgment. Don't condone it. That's something that should not be involved in either public work arena or the private sector work arena. So, unfortunate situation. He was a very good manager, and from 1993 till he left, the county was in very good hands from a management standpoint of view. The problem that they're having now is succession. You've got several people that are going to retire in the next 2 or 3 years, and they need a training program to get these mid-level managers up to speed to take over leadership roles instead of going out and hire, very high-priced people to come in and look at those roles.
Mr. Stillwell only made one mistake?
The emails is the latest one that I think got him in the most trouble.
But didn't you sense sort of an accumulation of different things sort of added up, and the emails thing was just the last
Well, I think that was the
straw?
most important. I really do. I think it's inappropriate, that action, and I think he knows it, and I think he made the mistake, and he doesn't feel good about it.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about that situation since I've left and since he's left, but I'm sure he feels bad about it.
But do we learn anything else from a policymaker and how the policymakers relate with the management side? Sometimes we get lessons from these. We say, well, we don't want to repeat that again.
Well, and I think you're right. I think the lesson here is to treat all 5 county commissioners the same, treat your staff the same. If you're going to send out an email, it's public record, make sure it's correct.
You mentioned foreclosures before. On the county level, what can or should county government do to either lessen the impact of that, reverse that?
Very difficult, Brent, very difficult. You know, this is a private marketplace, and unfortunately was heated up until the bubble burst in 07, 08. And it's something that a lot of speculation took place here in Lee County and in Southwest Florida, and that's part of the problem.
Can the county modify impact fee policies or do other things to make either, you know, rehabbing those houses more attractive?
Well, that's a very good question, and something that's been bugging me since the 1974 Dunedin case came in that actually gave birth to impact fees. You cannot use impact fees for O&M. You can only use it for new construction, and that's the flaw with that law. And on occasion, I've gone to the delegation when I was on the commission and asked them to change it, and nothing happened. So you're correct. If that would be more flexible of a law, impact fees could use perhaps to do that. But that's not the case on the books right now.
Yeah, expound on that, if you would. You said you've asked for something similar in the past to use impact fees for?
Operation and maintenance, in other words, if you build a building or build a road with road impact fees, or you build a park with park impact fees,
Right.
you should be able to take some of that dollars that went into the construction and use it for operation and maintenance. The statute does not allow that.
Okay,
Okay.
got it. So
That would be a good thing to do.
other than capital, use it for operating as well.
You can use it for both. That would be ideal, but that's not the way
With
this.
the thought that the growth in population increases the cost of operations as well.
Absolutely, there's no question.
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
Mhm.
You mentioned, again, I'm going to go back to your deadlock issues, because I
Okay.
love that, thinking, okay, we got 2 and 2, and I'm running for a seat. And you mentioned budget, and give us a couple more.
Well, I think one of the primary things is process. I think you've got 2 people who will allow the county administrative staff, the senior managers, to come back and to give them input on policy. If I sat up there and I said, okay, you guys, I want to make sure it rains every Tuesday, can you come back with a policy? Tell me how we're going to do it. I would trust my staff to do that. That's in the old days, okay?
Right.
Right now you have a split as to who is going to make the policy, who is going to come back, what the processes are going to be. One of the commissioners thinks selection committee process is invalid. So, you know, you got to look at those things from top to bottom, and I think Karen Hawes will do that. And I think that she'll come back down the road after the budget is done, and she'll give a roadmap. This is what we recommend. How do you want to handle it?
Have you done any work for Karen in her position?
No.
Okay.
No.
As a consultant?
No.
Okay.
So with the scenario you just outlined, the 2 to 2, and that would mean that some of the candidates in this race are aiming at Bob Chilmonic. He's in your race too.
They're all welcome, and I respect anybody that runs for office, especially at the local level, Jeff. I have nothing, I don't know Bob Chilmonic at all, so.
But you know about him, and you know about his policy, and I mean.
I'm running for the seat, not against somebody.
Yeah. Well, I think I know how Bob would approach things, and he's sort of a fly specker, as I put it.
Okay. That's his process, and mine is different. I like to collaborate.
Okay.
Who's helping you with the campaign?
I have a female manager, a female treasurer. We've got a group put together, some Cape Coral, some in unincorporated Lee County, and we have our first fundraiser on the 6th of July.
Oh yeah, what are you going to do?
In downtown Fort Myers at the French Connection, and hopefully we'll have a good turnout, and 5:30 to 7 o'clock. And you know, it's tough in this business. You have to raise funds, Phil, as you know.
Yeah.
It's a very short period of time. I like the way the Brits do it. They hold an election, and it's 2 months, it's over, and this is what I like anyway. So You know, some of the folks are ahead of me a little bit, but we're in the race, and we're hoping to win it.
Give us a little more of the time frame. You said some people talked to you about getting. Give us a little bit more of the history. How long ago were you first approached, and when you decide, hey?
Well, I decided to actually fill out volunteer paperwork back in July of '09.
Oh, really?
I had talked to Bob on a number of occasions, and I was volunteering in a number of, you know, Chamber of Commerce types of things, the Cape Coral Council for Progress. Wanted to expand that, so I sent a application up to the governor's office saying, hey, if you can use me for any volunteer position, you know, that comes about, I'll be happy to do it if it's here in Lee County. So little did I know that this would turn out to be a county commission situation. And we went through the interview process back in May, and I haven't heard anything since. So we're probably going to have to go through the race, and I don't know if he's going to appoint or not, but that's his prerogative.
Have you been out knocking on doors yet?
We have just started, Brent. It's you know, getting the team put together is just as arduous sometimes as going out to do that. But we're going to do that. We're going to put up signs. We're going to have, you know, campaign brochures. We're going to work the absentees. We're going to do whatever it takes to hopefully win this race. It's going to be tough. There's no illusions of victory from this corner. I ran a statewide campaign in 1998 on a referendum issue that passed, and it's very, very difficult to get all the folks in place and put together. I've run, you know, a number of races here locally. I was Florida Association of County President. You had to run with that. And you talk about convincing, you know, 450 county commissioners to vote for you. It's like cat herding. So I'm used to it, but it takes some time. But we're picking up momentum now as we speak.
The reason I asked about the doors is are you hearing any unified message from the folks that you have talked to as to what's on their mind?
They want to, the ones I have talked to, they want Lee County to get back on the right road again. They want a clear direction going forward from Lee County. There's a significant amount of issues coming up. The comp plan, the MPO 2035 plan, as I mentioned before, the budget, and the budget way beyond fiscal year 2011. So these are issues that people are very concerned with. They don't necessarily want huge government and big local services, but they want us to go back to our core service level, which we put in the 90s, okay? And I think that's the proper way to do it.
On I-75, have we heard the last of the idea of tolling the new lanes to pay for additional lanes?
I believe we have, Jeff, because of the simple fact that I think the authority is going to go away, and I'm not sure if they're going to revive that process yet. I think that issue is dead.
Okay, good.
I really do.
Let me ask you about roads in general. I mean, this economy is not business as usual. How do you go about planning for roads with less than breakneck growth? You know, how do you approach that?
Well, you have to take a step back and you have to look at your 5-year capital improvement plan. A, is it funded? B, does it make sense for the times that we're in? If you remember, you've been here, you've both been here, you've been here, Brent. In the late 80s, early 90s, through the middle of the 2000s, this place went skyrocketing with growth. We had to build the midpoint bridges of the world and other facilities. And now it's a different story, and that's why it's important from the stakeholder standpoint of view to have everybody involved and to look at the MPO plan from 2035 going forward. That's going to be in December. That'll be on the board agenda in January of 2011, and it's going to be a very, very important issue. What do you cut from that? What do you move forward with? How is the MPO, which is made up of community leaders all over Lee County, how are they going to treat it? And that's going to be very, very important. Funding is awfully important. It's going to be tough.
You won't be around to see it built, but County Road 951 extending up through Lee County, should that be in that 2035 plan?
I don't know if that is. I've heard talk that it may very well be. If there's a collaborative effort between Collier County and Lee County, that would be fine. Reliever roads are very important because the interstate system is not getting funded to the point that it used to. They tried to take $160 million out of the Transportation Trust Fund this year. Luckily, the governor vetoed that. So we'll see what happens going down the road, but that's a good project in my view.
John, we're out of time, but thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
And happy birthday.